guys, it's Emma, and I'm back today for you with another video. And we have reached that time of the year where booktubers are putting out their annual end of the year videos. And instead of doing my usual thing, you know, best books, worst books, and then DNF'd books of the year, I thought I would just do one giant video tier ranking all of the books that I read this year. So we have 8 tiers. First off, we have cream of the crop, the best of the best, homegirl shined, okay? Then we have just about there, literally just underneath the best. Maybe a few things stopped her from rising to the top, but she's near the top. Then we have a really good time. These are ones that I may not think are the best books, but are really memorable in a way. At least like the vibes were there. The really good memories are there. Then we have good. This is literally just good. Then we have smells mediocre. And I think that is pretty self-explanatory. Where's the editor? Girlfriend, these needed changing so badly. And then we have down the drain, which is the bottom of the bottom, the gutter of the gutter. And then we have DNF for all the books that I DNF'd, okay? The first book that we have is Archer's Voice, and she's going into DNF. I read it as an audiobook. I couldn't finish it plainly because every single time they would talk about the male hero, my mind would snap to picturing Jared Leto, and I can't do that. Morally, ethically, consciously, can't do that. Then we have Darling Girl. Homegirl is going down the drain. I despise this book. I'm gonna have a rant review out for her very soon because oh my goodness, this book was infuriating to read. The main character, she might as well have been a side character, and she was stupid. Then we have Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. This one I'm going to put in Where's the Editor. I didn't like this one either. This one I'd have to say was a pretty big disappointment for me, just plainly because, I don't know, I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is like a sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas. If that's the case, this is a horrible sequel, okay? I really didn't like it. I thought the writing was amateurish at best, and just there were plot holes sequentially, one right after the other, that were, in my opinion, very hastily covered up, and it shows. So yeah, Bone Chiller, DNF'd. I am a very superstitious person, and I was not comfortable with how many times a Native American monster was fully spelled out. And I don't know, I've heard from Native American communities that saying the monster's name full out gives it power and therefore like attaches itself to you. And I'm just gonna play it safe, okay? Clockwork Angel, also DNF'd. I tried so hard, okay? I want everyone to know I tried so hard to get into this book. I didn't like Will. I thought Will was a pretentious douchebag. I liked Jem, and from what I got, we barely got any of Jem. Then we have Marina. Marina, ooh. I may move Marina later on in the video, but as of right now, Marina is going into just about there. Marina is one of my favorite books, I think, of the entire year. You know what? Move her up. Marina is in cream of the crop, okay, because it gave me gothicness, it gave me mystery, thriller almost, very dark. It made me cry so hard at the very end. Marina is just such a good book. Fight Club, down the drain. Fight Club, maybe it was above my pay grade intellectually, and if so, I acknowledge that, but oh my goodness, this book was so confusing for me to read, and it was just written badly, in my opinion, so I'm not a fan of Fight Club. Same thing with The Majesties, down the drain. The twist was a cop-out, in my opinion. These people were awful, just no. Then we have Love in the Wild, which is like a Tarzan retelling. It's either in good or smells mediocre. I'm gonna put it in good. I would recommend it. as a romance book. There were some things in there that, you know, I did catch that were just like, interesting, you know what I mean? But I do think it's a solid romance book. Then we have the down days. And I'm putting the down days in Where's the Editor? The down days was so disappointing for me. I love the cover of this book. If you've seen the cover, it is camp, it is gorgeous, okay? But it was so drawn out. There was barely any actual depiction of this disease that we're supposed to be so afraid of. Yeah. Then we have Do Yen. This was like the first dark romance that I ever actually like put myself into. And I'm gonna put Do Yen in good. It's not the most memorable romance I've ever read. Same thing with Love in the Wild. And there were some like, oh my gosh, she's a girl boss. Oh my gosh, she's a girl boss. Did you hear what I said? She's a girl boss things in there. And it's like, okay, y'all need to calm it down, take it down a notch. But yeah, so Do Yen, she's going in good. Then we have We Need to Do Something, I think. And oh my gosh, down the drain. I despised this book. Reading this book was a headache and a half, and all the characters were idiots. Tools of idiocracy, if I've ever seen any. Then we have Last Days, which Last Days I'm gonna put in just about there. It's this cult book, and it's like a really disturbing cult book. It deals with a cult whose like motif is amputations, because they take like a quote from the Bible where like, I think it's Matthew, like puts out the eye that offends him and like takes off the hand that offends him. I don't know. So the more amputations that you have, the higher in the hierarchy of this cult that you are. It was really, really cool. I really liked it. It was really disturbing. It was really just uncanny, I would say. Then we have When Brooklyn Was Queer. I'm gonna put her in good. All right, the potential to be even better is there. I can feel it, I can smell it, I can sense it, okay? But the writing was a little bit flat. I did enjoy the statistics of it and all, but that's pretty much all it was. It was very, very textbook style, the way it was written to be read. Angels in America. I'm gonna put this one in just about there. I gave it 5 stars, same thing with Marina. I think it's one of the best plays that I've ever read. It is funny, it is dark, it is tragic. And I think that if it had, you know, like maybe cleaned up a few tiny things, then it would be in cream of the crop. Then we have Nama, DNF. Incest. Thank you. Then we have Reckless Girls, and she's going into a really good time, all right? I gave it 3 stars. It's not a bad book. It's not an amazing book, but I read Reckless Girls almost in one sitting. If it hadn't been 5:30 in the morning, I would have read it in one sitting, but alas. But no, Reckless Girls was so much fun, okay? I cannot remember the last time that I had read a book so juicy, with so much tea, that was so dramatic. It was so good, okay? I think that if I were to want any of these books to be made into a movie, Reckless Girls would be at the top of my list. Then we have Dune. Dune is going into just about there, okay? This is one of the books that genuinely shocked me, that surprised me. I was not thinking that I was gonna enjoy Dune in the slightest. I think Dune's biggest problem is that it tells and doesn't show a lot, especially with climactic events, and in my opinion that lowers the stakes immensely. So that's why Dune is not in cream of the crop, but Dune is just about there. Then we have Ninth House, DNF. I don't want to talk about it. Then we have Ace of Spades. She's also going in just about there. I loved Ace of Spades. It was such a good thriller. It was just enthralling all the way through. Then we have When I Hit You. I'm not a fan of essay collections. I don't tend to like essay collections. And I wish I'd known that before I read When I Hit You. It has a written out rape scene in it, which, while in context to the book, was still something that left a bad taste in my mouth. So, unfortunately, I'm gonna go with Where's the Editor? but honestly, this could float anywhere depending on the mood of the day. Then we have The Wolf of Oren-Yaro. This one definitely goes in Where's the Editor. The plot, the pacing was all over the place. The main character, she was a ditz wearing a crown. She was obsessed with a deadbeat dad, and just no. Then we have Docile, also DNF'd. The romance in there made me very uncomfortable. I think it was supposed to, but no. As soon as consent comes into question, I'm not a fan. Then we have The Untold Kimi Räikkönen. I'm gonna put this one in a really good time. I really got into F1 racing this year, and Kimi Räikkönen retired this year. So I bought the biography done about him, and it was just really, really nice to see, you know, a lot of older drivers whose names I knew being plugged in. It was just really interesting. More lore, basically. Then we have The Changeling, and this one's down the drain. I really hated reading The Changeling. It felt like 3 rough drafts for 3 different stories mushed together with little to no transition, and it pissed me off. Then we have Minor Detail. Minor Detail is going into cream of the crop. This book was very short. It deals with Israeli soldiers committing war crimes against the Bedouins, trying to remove them in order for the Israelis to come and basically establish Israel. Very impactful. I remember I had to like put my phone down after I was finished with it and just take a moment. Wow. Then we have The Punisher, Max Bourne, and I'm gonna put this in good. It's not my favorite. It's the only Punisher graphic novel that I've read. I want to read more because I'm really interested in the Punisher. But it also has a rape scene, which I just didn't need to see that. So then we have An Ordinary Man by Paul Rusesabagina. I'm going to put this in just about there. Paul Rusesabagina is the man that saved over 1,000 Tutsi and Hutu refugees during the Rwandan genocide, and this is his memoir about it. And I really enjoyed just learning about how he grew up, where he grew up, and then how he felt about stepping into this heroic role almost. So I loved that. Then we have My Dark Vanessa. I feel like a lot of people really love My Dark Vanessa. And while I do see the potential for it to be amazing, it was not amazing to me. While I love the fact that it depicts the theme of there is no, I guess, ideal or perfect victim, the writing, in my opinion, kind of fell flat, so I'm putting My Dark Vanessa in smells mediocre. The intent was there, but intent does not equal impact. Then we have The Spanish Love Deception, Where's the Editor? It wasn't one of my least favorite books, but oh my goodness gracious, where's the editor? First of all, no romance book needs to be over 500 pages long. There is no reason for that to exist, okay? Second of all, the enemies to lovers thing, I'm sorry, you're a grown woman and you started beef with this man because he gave you a bad look. Really? That was ridiculous to me. Being reminded over and over and over again that he's huge, he's so much taller than her, he's double her height. It's icky at this point. I'm thinking of a child and a father. Gross. Then we have Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I'm putting her in just about there. This was so fun for me to read, okay? I loved the main character. She did monologue a lot, but the world was so interesting. It was so cool to be thrown into almost an abstract type world that was almost unbelievable, but was just believable enough to not have me suspend my belief too much, if that makes any sense. Locked Away, I'm gonna put in a really good time. This was just so much fun to read. It was written very, very fast. The idea of being able to resurrect ghosts, the ghosts of animals and everything like that. The vampire lore in here was very interesting too. Just The backstory was really cool, and I think that it was really fun and interesting Native American representation. I loved it. Then we have George Washington's Rules of like Civility or something like that. I'm gonna put it in good. It was fine. I read it in like 5 minutes. It's literally just the 48 Laws of Power, but not as drawn out, if that makes sense. Then we have the Poppy War. Poppy War is going into cream of the crop, baby doll. I don't know what y'all expected. I don't know if y'all expected anything less. And if that was what you expected, then you were sorely mistaken, okay? Because the Poppy War, I remember bawling my eyes out. And R.F. Kuang's writing is amazing. It is so rich and just wow. The stuff in this book, like I said, I cried. I had to take a break and just like walk around my apartment complex in order to like clear my head. But oh my goodness, the Poppy War is so good. I need the sequel. Then we have the Inheritance Games. Smells mediocre, baby doll. I don't really know what else to say about it. Then we have Skin of the Sea. Skin of the Sea, I would say, was cream of the crop. Cream of the crop, okay? African mermaids. Were hyenas. It was so cool, all right? African unicorns. The world building and the lore of this book, I feel like are the real gems of this story. And the sequel, also with the Dragon Republic, I need in my hands right now. Then we have Magic for Liars. Where's the editor? I read this book around the time when Roe vs. Wade was overturned, and the the abortion plot twist was definitely interesting. Then we have Interior Chinatown, and I'm gonna put this in just about there. There were some things that I acknowledged that I'm pretty sure went over my head, but other than that, I loved the usage of metaphors. The entertainment industry in its entirety capitalizes off of marginalized people and their stereotypes that are associated with them. Interior Chinatown was one of the most enlightening books that I think I read this year. Then we have Cemetery Boys. Cemetery Boys was just a good time. Okay, I had so much fun reading this book. Okay, I loved seeing the Latinx representation in here. I loved reading a story about the Day of the Dead, about a living person and a ghost teaming up to solve a mystery. It was so cool. Okay, so yeah, A Lot's Away and Cemetery Boys, I would recommend those together. Then we have, oh my gosh, Kim Ji-young, born 1982. Cream of the crop. I still think about this book. And I read this towards like I think maybe the first half of the year. I still think of the phrase mom roach daily. And it makes me mad. Daily. Then we have The Cat That Dipped. Really good time. Okay, it's a kid's book. It was written by a kid, and I personally reviewed this book for him. I think it will be very easy for other kids to get into it and to be enthralled by it just as much as I was. Then we have Black Sun. Black Sun is going into cream of the crop. I am terrified to read Fevered Star because of the polarizing reviews about it. I don't want to hear it in the comments. I love Black Sun and I'm living in ignorant bliss until I get Fevered Star in paperback, okay? Then we have Ghost of the Danube. Where's the editor, Bebs? The sheer amount of typos in this book was ridiculous. There was a villainous monologue. The plot was kind of lacking. The world building was lackluster. Lady of Rooksgrave Manor, cream of the crop. All right, one of my favorite romance books ever now, and literally one of my favorite reverse harems, and my favorite monster lovers books, all right? It has one of the raunchiest sex scenes that I've ever read in my life, okay? And I feel like that says something. Then we have Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I'm putting her in just about there. This is my favorite of the Brown Sisters trilogy. I've only read 2, but this is most definitely my favorite. I loved Chloe. I love that there was chronic illness rep, and I liked her and Red together. It took me a little bit, honestly, to be convinced that they both liked each other like that. I was, thinking, okay, I feel like they'd be better as friends with benefits. But all in all, the smut for this book was god tier. Okay, so wow. Then we have The Echo Wife. Smells mediocre. I thought it was okay, but the plot kind of retracted in on itself, and made a whole section of it almost null and void, which I did not understand in the slightest. Then we have Somebody Loves You. I just don't think that I did enough research when I was reading it. I think it's okay, but there wasn't a lot of substance behind it, in my opinion, so I'm gonna put this in also smells mediocre, and I feel really bad about that. Then we have Light of the Jedi. I'm gonna put this in a really good time. Okay, there was a Wookiee Jedi. Neon Gods also smells mediocre. Katie Robert is one of my favorite smut writers, all right, but Neon Gods, not only was the like hierarchy system of the gods in itself confusing for me to catch on to, but the smut scenes, in my opinion, were just very average. Also, if you put a gun to my head and asked me how this book ended, I would not be able to tell you. So, then we have Looking, and this girl is going into cream of the crop, okay? This one was a polyamorous book, and it was so good. It made me like kids in books, okay, which never happens. I thought this was a really good, short, polyamorous book, and it was just fun. It was very steamy. I loved it. Then we have Only for a Night. Where's the editor? The main male love interest had severe anger issues. The female love interest was okay. She was obnoxious at points, but the wording being used for some of the sex scenes was interesting, to say the least. I just want to put the question out there, why are we using the words sexual assault when referring to a sex scene? I just want to know why. Thank you. Then we have Maple Shade's Vengeance. This one was good. It was just kind of there, I guess. It was nice to be able to see what happened to Maple Shade and why she is the way she is. But other than that, it was all right. Goosefeather's Curse, however, was a really good time. I liked it because, I don't know, I felt more of a duality with Goosefeather's character than I did with Maple Shade's. Certain Dark Things. This one, I would say, is good. Just flatly good. The lore that the author gives you behind this book is the real gem, but the characters themselves are a little flat. There's nothing really to them other than what they give you. Sweat and Soap, cream of the crop. Sweat and Soap was so good. Okay, just wow. I had so much fun with this. It was funny, it was cute, it had me kicking my feet and giggling, okay? Then we have Little Heaven. Also cream of the crop, okay? This is one of my new favorite books of all time. I cried, it was disturbing, it was weird, it was creepy, it was so strange to read. But at the end of it, I wept like a baby. Probably didn't help that I was drunk. However, there it is. Then we have Lilac, also cream of the crop. I know I said with the Spanish Love Deception that no romance book needs to be 500 pages. I'm a hypocrite born, bred, and raised. Lilac, I think, deserves all 537 of its pages, but it is the only romance book that I have come across so far that deserves to be more than 500 pages long. So I still stand very firm, quite firm, with my thing of the Spanish Love Deception does not need to be that fucking long. It does not. I'm so sorry. Then we have Warriors Twilight. Good. It's good. The only reason it's good and not in smells mediocre is because of the battle that is in there. Then we have Pyre. Pyre's going into just about there. I read this for my book club and I think I interpreted the ending much differently than everybody else did, but I like how I interpreted it. Then we have Girls Made of Snow and Glass. DNF. It really didn't bring me anything new that I hadn't read in other books. While I was reading it, I just kept thinking about A Curse of Roses by Diana Pingicha, so it kept taking me out of the story. And then Clay, same thing, DNF. The writing style was atrocious. Then we have Warriors Sunset, smells mediocre. It's not a memorable book for me in this series, so yeah. Then we have Contagion. Where's the editor? You had the main female character confessing that she was a victim of rape, and then 3 seconds after, she's like, okay, yes, let's have sex. And it's like, okay. Then we have Dune Messiah. This, I'm putting in a really good time. Okay, I had a really good time. I bawled at the end of it because of Paul's story coming full circle. Dune Messiah, I feel like, was more political than Dune was, and therefore had a lot more opportunities to lose me. And at points, it almost did, but I did come right back and was like, oh, okay, no, that makes sense. But, you know, there was the frustration of that, so that's why that's there. And then Warriors, the site also smells mediocre. It's the longest book in the Warrior Cat series, and why? Then we have To Kill a Kingdom. Where's the editor? Because, what? Literally, I got through 200 pages of this book, and nothing had happened. Literally nothing had happened, and I was thinking to myself, how are you gonna make the rest of this story that's supposed to happen in the small amount of pages that you got left? All right, the best thing about To Kill a Kingdom is the fan art. Then we have Breed, just about there. It was weird. It was a werewolf book. It was creepy, and it honestly had a very bittersweet ending. So Breed, I'd say very underrated werewolf book. Then we have The Harpy. The Harpy's going the cream of the crop, all right? It was magical realism. It was gothic, I would say. It was really cool. You don't know whether or not she actually turned into a harpy or not, and I loved that. Then we have On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, also cream of the crop. This made me so emotional that every 5 pages I was choking up. It was just so emotional. One of the most emotional books that I've ever read. American Psycho, down the drain. Just one of the most meaningless books I think I've ever read in my life. Then we have A Magic Steeped in Poison. Good. Just flatly good. I would say that if you're a fan of Daughter of the Moon Goddess, you might want to read this. Then we have Star Wars Visions Ronin, also DNF'd. This one was a disappointment. I tried so hard to vibe with the writing style, and it was just too abstract. It was too confusing. I couldn't get with it, so no. Then we have Ensnared. Ensnared, I'm putting in a really good time. Okay, it's not the best thing I've ever read. It's not the most enlightening thing I've ever read, but damn was it entertaining, okay? There was shibari in here. Spiderweb shibari, okay? I was living. Then we have A Venom Dark and Sweet. Smells mediocre. It was a star down from A Magic Steeped in Poison, and I feel like it just fell off. It really did, writing-wise. Haruki, okay, then we have Men Without Women. Where's the editor? I really did not like this book, like at all. And a lot of people are saying how they love Murakami. I hate the way he writes. He writes very crassly, and I don't really understand the need or the use of the crass. So let's just say I had more fun taking pictures of this book than I actually did reading it. And then we have The Fox and I, also Where's the Editor? It read like a National Geographic documentary, which I loved, but it documented, in my opinion, too many things other than the fox. Then we have Devil's Line. Devil's Line was a good time, all right? It was about a vampire with the bodyguard trope, all right? And if you know me, I'm a sucker for the bodyguard trope, and it gave me everything I needed. Then we have Sweat and Soap, Volume 2. Again, a really good time. And yeah, it was good for a sequel. It wasn't as good as the first one. Still 5 stars, but you know, the first one will always be the first one. Then we have A Man and His Cat is going into Smells Mediocre. It was so cute. It was so cute. But the dialogue drove me up the wall. All right, could not. Then Chainsaw Man, everybody's going off about the anime. I don't really care. I read the first volume of the manga. Where's the editor, Bebs? Where? Okay, because the main character's only real motives are bread and boobs. So yeah, Fangs. Fangs, I would say, was a really good time. All right, modern day Lestat and Louis. Just less toxic. The Death of Vivek OG is going into just about there. The writing for The Death of Vivek OG was gorgeous, and I need to read more Akweki and Mezi. Then we have Inuyasha Volume 2 of the Omnibus Editions, and this one is going into Cream of the Crop. I don't care, Inuyasha is one of my favorite series of all time. There we go. Then we have Near the Bone. Near the Bone is going into just about there. I did get a little bored every now and then, but the pure emotion of this book is just downright insidious, okay? And then we have 10 minutes and 38 seconds in the Strange World is also going into just about there. All right, this one was just... it was something else to behold, okay? The trials and tribulations that the characters went through was hard to read at some points. The Witch and the Czar, where's the editor? Where's the editor, Beps? Okay, because the overall feeling for this book is the author tried to do too much while also doing way too little. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So there we go. Then we have Sunshine DNF. I just got bored. Then we have, and I'm gonna put The Never King and They Never Learn in here as well. I DNF'd all three of these books because I got bored. Then we have A Thousand Splendid Suns. I'm putting her in Cream of the Crop. Okay, this book made me cry, it made me angry, it made me frustrated, it made me anxious. I was taken on a roller coaster of emotions, and all of these characters are so multi-dimensional. It was amazing, and I need to read more by Khaled Hosseini. Wow. Then we have The Ivies. Where's the editor? The main character was naive to the point where it was ridiculous. And just, she happened upon everything by chance, which is lazy writing in my opinion. Okay, then we have You've Lost a Lot of Blood. Cream of the Crop. Cream of the Crop, all right. Really a huge step up from Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, and I can't get over the scientific horror aspect of it. I love it. I love it. Then we have Such Sharp Teeth, also going in Cream of the Crop. All right, this is a new favorite werewolf book of mine, and just, yes, I loved how it dealt with the topic of feminine rage, and I love it. It was so good. A Far Wilder Magic DNF. I don't know why. I don't know what in my right mind told me that I would like a book about alchemy when I don't like chemistry, nor do I understand alchemy. So there's that. Then we have Dragon's Bride. I'm gonna put in good. Was not expecting the breeding kink, but didn't hate it, which I feel like says something. Then we have The Gilded Ones. I'm gonna put that one also in good. The world building, I would say, really hinders this book. But other than that, if you're looking for a really fast book to read, definitely go with The Gilded Ones, okay? Because I flew through her. Then we have Within the Fog, Down the Drain. This was just horrendous to read, honestly. The typos were everywhere. The characters were unpredictable in the worst way. Then we have Take a Hint, Danny Brown. This one was a really good time. Okay, the smut scenes between Danny and Saphir. Talia Hibbert. How much do I need to pay you in order to write more steamy scenes for Danny and Saphir? We have The Hunting Wives, Down the Drain. Down the Drain. This was messy. It was full of tea, it was dramatic, but oh my goodness, the main character was an idiot. I'm not a fan of that. Killers of Flower Moon, Cream of the Crop. It's a book that everybody needs to read. It is about a section of American history that is very insidious, very dark, very traumatic. A lot of generational trauma discussed in this book, and like I said, I think it's a book that everybody needs to read. Annihilation, Annihilation I'm gonna put in just about there. And I can't really elaborate exactly what was missing from Annihilation, just that there was something missing from Annihilation. Then we have Comfort Me with Apples, also just about there. Not my favorite thing I've read this year, but damn near, okay? Because this book, it was weird. It was almost Don't Worry Darling-esque. It gave me a biblical twist. It gave me utopia, cult-ish vibes. Black Swans, down the drain. I hated reading this book. I don't understand why everybody likes it. This is one of those books where I just genuinely cannot wrap my head around why other people love this book. I can't, okay? No. 7 Days in June. Cream of the crop. One of my new favorite romance books. The characters in this book were so human and so raw and just so real that I found myself tearing up at some of the conversations that they had. Next, we have Funny You Should Ask. This one is going in Smells Mediocre because it's based off of a GQ article, I think, of a reporter and Chris Evans, and this book followed the events of that article to a T, and I was just a little surprised that the author, didn't mention the author of the article in the acknowledgments of the book. I mean, you would think so, due to just how similar the book was to the article, but maybe that's just me. Then we have Our Wives Under the Sea. I'm gonna put this one in a really good time, okay? This one I feel like would be a very, very hit or miss book for people. I loved the cosmic horror aspect of this. I will always be creeped out by the ocean no matter what. I did feel at some points that the writing tended to almost get ahead of itself. Then we have I Love You But I've Chosen Darkness, DNF. The writing style, hated it. I could not get into it. It just felt almost like a stream of consciousness thing, but nothing was related. Nothing. Then we have Lapvona, also DNF'd. The rape scene. The rape scene. What? So no. Then we have The Final Strife. Cream of the crop. Okay, this book is huge. It's huge. And I loved every single second of it. I loved following the main character through her journey with addiction. I thought that was amazing. I loved the main character's developing relationship with the girl that she's supposed to kill and overthrow. I loved it. The world building of The Final Strife was so interesting. Then we have When She Returned. When She Returned is going in Smells Mediocre. The ending sucked. Okay, just nothing realistic happened here. All of the police proceedings were just so incompetent. It was ridiculous, almost to the point where it was unrealistically incompetent. All of the characters in here were dumb. The husband was useless. The kid was a kid. I don't like kids in books. And I was intrigued because this book introduced, just like with My Dark Vanessa, it also introduced the idea of Stockholm Syndrome, of a victim relapsing and going back to the organization or person responsible for the abuse. But the way it happened and how quickly it happened was not believable to me. It was just, it felt very much for shock value. It was boring. Because while it was a bunch of people just airing out their dirty laundry, that was all that was happening. So, lastly, the last book that I read in 2022 was Fire and Blood. And this book, unfortunately, is going in Where's the Editor? All right, while you can make the argument of, well, it's fictional, the author can do whatever he wants with the characters. Yes. But my counter argument to that is he can also not do whatever he wants to these characters, okay? The fact that no female character got a death that was not brutal, that was not horrible, that was not just downright sad, was aggravating for me, okay? And the writing in here at some points was very distasteful. There was just a lot of stuff in here that I noticed towards the latter half of the book that just honestly made it seem as though it wasn't really worth it. Because this book is like 758 pages. The mass market paperback version that I got, 758 pages, girl. So you guys, that is my tier ranking. If you liked any of these books that I said should go down the drain, I apologize. That's just how I feel. These are my opinions. If you disagree with any of the books in this tier ranking list where I've put them, let me know down below. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books. Let me know if you agree with anything that I said here. And yeah, this video is long enough as it is. So I'm just gonna end it here. You guys, with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you have a good New Year's and New Year's Eve, that you guys are staying safe, and that you guys have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.